today is how to plant raspberries. Now, this is the time of year, December, January, it's actually the beginning of January now, but December and January are the perfect time to get your raspberries in so that they can get settled over the winter period, and then when the spring starts to come along, then they're settled in the soil and then they can start growing. Also, you don't have to water them a huge amount at this time of year unless you live in a really hot climate, because the weather is cooler when you plant them at this time of year, and also we have a lot more rain, especially in the UK. It's a beautiful day today. Now, I've got 3 varieties of raspberries here. I've planted 2 of them already. The varieties I've planted are Juno, Malling Juno, and Autumn Bliss, and the ones I'm going to show you today are called Tulameen. Now, there are so many different varieties of raspberries out there. It's entirely up to you which ones you want. I actually got a group of them so I can extend the harvesting period. Some of these harvest early. The Juno harvest first, and then I think the Autumn Bliss are next, and then I think it's the Tulameen. So however many or whichever varieties you want to harvest. There are some yellow ones as well that you can get, which are called All Gold. Well, that's one variety anyway. So it's entirely up to you what raspberries you want to grow, but you will plant them in exactly the same way as I am doing now. Now, the ones I've got are bare rooted, and I've only put these sticks in here so that I actually know where to start and where to end the row. I will put some structures in, but not today. Now, a bare rooted one is basically this. It's a stick with the root going. If you've ordered these online and they arrive, if you don't have time to plant them straight away, just do what I've done, and I just dug a hole and I just plonked them in the soil so that they're actually quite happy. The worst thing to do would be to just leave them in the packaging that they come in, because that way they are likely to die. So when you do come to plant them, which I'm going to do now, make sure you have a nice straight line. I'm assuming you want to plant them in a straight line. Now, I've got a stick here and I've got a stick at the end so that I know that this is where I want to start and this is where I want to end, so I can get hopefully a lovely straight line. If you are growing a huge line, make sure that you actually mark out where you want to grow, because if you're anything like me, your long straight line will end up swizzly. Now, raspberries need to be planted about 1 foot to 18 inches apart from each other. If they are a little bit closer, they most probably really won't mind at all. So I've got mine here, and let me show you how I'm going to plant them. Right, so what I'm going to do to start with is, so that I know I'm going to get them spaced correctly and also in a nice straight line, is I'm just going to lie them down on the soil so that I know and I can check that I'm actually planting them in the correct place. My line has gone up, so that's always a good thing to do. So once you've done that, what you then need to do is you need to then put them in the soil. Now, the roots, I hope you can see this. Let me just turn the screen round, and then I know that I've actually got, I can show you properly. Now, the roots, you usually have one big long root and lots of little ones coming off of it. Now, you want all of these roots underneath the soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig a nice deep hole. You can either use a trowel, as I am, or you can use a shovel or a spade. It just depends how much root you've got here. So I think that'll do. Now, I want to get all of these little roots underneath the soil. So I'm just going to make sure that it's down far enough, which it is. If it goes a little bit deeper, then that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that all of those roots are covered. So once it's in, I will carefully put it in, and then I will just fill in around it with the soil and push it down to make sure that it's nice and firm. And now I'm going to move on to the next one. So I will carry on, and when I have finished, then I will show you. Now there's just one thing I want to show you. Some of the roots are nice and soft, and you can actually sort of bend them round carefully. Others are quite strong and sturdy. These ones are actually very difficult to bend round. Now when you're planting your raspberry, if you've got like a soft root, you can sort of bend it round just a little bit to get it in the hole. However, if you've got one that's a bit sturdy like this, you can't. So what you need to make sure you do is you need to make sure that you dig not just a round hole, but a long hole as well, so that you can actually get it in. Because if you bend the roots and you're too rough with them, you are likely to break them, and we don't want to break the roots. So I just wanted to mention that to you, just in case you came across this and you were a little bit concerned about what to do. So the small, if they will bend them very, very carefully and gently. If they won't, then you're just going to have to dig a long area for the roots to go in. So that's the last one to go in. Give it a good push down, like this. So it's nice and firm in, and that's all of them in now, and all I'm going to do now is give them a good water. Right, well that's all the raspberries in now. I've given them a really good water. When you water them, when you've just put them in, make sure that I used an entire watering can for the 5 of these. Don't have the rose on the end, just have the spout, so that the water will go directly down into the soil and straight down to the roots. Now these will look like they're not doing anything until about spring, middle of spring, when the shoots will start to come out. So don't worry about that. This is what they look like at this time of year. They just look like a stick, but they are doing all sorts of things under the soil. All the roots are growing, and they're getting all their energy so that it will come up through the stem, and they will start to grow beautifully, hopefully beautifully, in the spring. And then hopefully I will be harvesting the first of the raspberries in the summer. I will put some structures up, so I'll attach some wood to the outside, and I will have it coming up both sides, and then I will have some string, some wire going across, so that I can attach the raspberries to them as they're growing up, and then they don't just go all over the place. But if you want your raspberries to you don't want them attached to a frame, and you just want them to grow up and go a bit rustic, then by all means please do that. But obviously I'm a bit short on space here, so I need them organised, and it just means that I can get down in between the rows. I've got 3 rows here, and I've got enough space. I've got about 18 inches between each row, so that I can get down between them to harvest them. The rows themselves, the bed itself is about 2.5 metres along, so I will get, what you will end up with is, by sort of late summer, early autumn next year, you'll have more little shoots. There goes the watering can. You'll have little shoots coming up here, and therefore you'll end up with more and more raspberries. They look quite sparse now, but give them just a year and you'll end up with lots more. Well, I hope you found that useful. I will keep you updated on their progress, and hopefully I'll be making some raspberry jam. I love making raspberry jam in the summer. I won't have a huge amount. I might manage to get a jar out. You won't get a huge amount of fruit the very first year, but the second and the third year, and so on, you will get more and more. You won't know what to do with them all. So hopefully 15 will be just about enough for us. Well, I hope you found that useful, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.